Hey guys, how you doing? This is Craig here from Bass Lessons Melbourne, and today for my player profile video I'm very honoured to have Mr. Francis Rocco Prestia with me. So,
hey,
thanks for taking the time, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
So you're here with Tower of Power for the Caloundra Festival.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, how's that been going?
Really good, really nice. The weather's not quite cooperating, but it's pretty nice for the most part.
Sure. Yeah. Have you been to Australia a few times?
Just once.
For this festival?
For this festival, yeah. I think it was 2011, I was told.
Okay, yeah.
So it's been a while.
Yeah. Maybe we can just start talking about how you got into bass.
How I got into bass.
Why the bass?
Well, the bass kind of picked me when we started. We used to have a guy come and teach us tunes every week. His name was Terry Saunders in the Bay Area. I was 14, and Emilio was 15.
Oh, so you guys knew each other way back then?
Yeah, him and me go back the furthest.
Right.
Anyway, this guy used to come in and teach us, and he would assess us, you know. And when it got to me, I started as a guitar player.
Right.
And I really couldn't play to save my life, so he got to me and he says, you know, you guys need a bass. You know, and in our infinite wisdom, we said, well, what's a bass? You know, he said, don't worry about it, you need one. So went down to the local music store, picked up a bass, and that's kind of how it started.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Was it a Fender back then, or was it just a cheap music store one?
I think it was a Fender. I could be mistaken, but I think it was.
Sure. So then, did you take lessons in bass at school, or
no,
just kind of learn off records?
Yeah, pretty much. Just we learned as we went.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah. So did that then become Tower of Power?
That band, yes, it did. When I joined, it was the Extension 5. And then we were the Gotham City Crime Fighters. And we all dressed up like Batman and Robin.
Really?
And then we were the Black Orpheus. And then we were the Motowns. And then Tower of Power.
So before all that, was that mainly kind of cover tunes, R&B cover songs, or original stuff as well?
Well, we didn't really get hip to R&B till like, I guess probably early 67 or something like that.
Okay.
Or maybe 66, I don't know. I joined the band in 65, and we were doing stuff by the Animals and the Stones and Paul Revere and the Raiders, and you know, some James Brown a little bit, and you know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we got hip to soul music, and we started adding horns, and kind of went from there. We didn't start doing originals until Doc joined the band in '68, which is when we changed the name to Tower of Power as well. And like Mimi and Doc's first tune they wrote together was Still a Young Man, the very first tune.
Really?
Yeah, so, and anyway, that's when we started doing original material.
And you guys still play that song today?
Yeah.
So stood the test of time? Epic. And is that also when your relationship with David Garibaldi started?
Dave joined in 1970.
1970, so a few years later. Yeah. And having spoken to a few drummers, I know that he has been really inspirational to a lot of the drumming community.
That's a fact.
Yeah. So what was it like, kind of joining forces with him at the start? Was it push-pull, or was it, you know, together right from the beginning?
Pretty much locked right away.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was when he joined the band, he had you know, just this millions of ideas, you know, that he needed to get out.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I came, you know, at that point I was basically from an R&B background. So when you put them together, what came out is pretty much what you hear today. You know,
Yeah.
More refined, obviously, you know, after this many years. But yeah, I mean, it pretty much clicked right away.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you find it? You know, when if you do, how do you find it playing with other drummers, having had such a close relationship? You know, rhythmic
I
relationship.
don't really have a problem with drummers. You know, I don't. I mean, unless they're just completely all over the place
Sure.
and have horrible time and all that stuff. But, you know, for the most part, I've had a pretty good relationship with the drummers that I've played with.
Yeah.
I think me and Dave have a definitely a special magic
Sure.
that I don't have with anybody else.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And I was reading an interview with you earlier on where you said one of the great things about Tower of Power is that it's a band, but you're also strong individual voices as well.
Yeah, I think that's, you know, obviously due to just who we are, but also due to the fact that the way the band is structured, especially in the rhythm section, we're pretty much free to go where we want to go. We're, you know, I mean, there's obviously cases where, you know, the writer might, whoever wrote the tune might want a specific thing here or there, but for the most part, it's just, you know, in this ballpark, go for it.
Yeah, cool. Because I've seen you play a couple of times and you never really seem to play it the same way twice.
I don't know, I'm pretty boring to myself, so. Yeah.
But it's, I guess, that, you know, that it would be probably harder to be involved in a band for that long if you didn't have some kind of musical leeway to.
I'm sorry?
It would be difficult to be involved if you didn't have some freedom within the material.
Well, I mean, the tunes, even the old tunes that we do, like What Is Hip and all that stuff, I mean, they continue to evolve.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
they
cool.
continue to grow. So, and I think that's what keeps it fresh for us as individuals, is to not be afraid to, you know, just get off the script sometimes and, you know, go other places.
Sure, yeah.
So that definitely helps.
Yeah. And is there maybe some bass players who you could maybe cite as being influential or
Yeah, sure. I mean,
inspirational
I
for
came
your-
up during, you know, in the States, it was about sounds. You had, you know, the Memphis sound, you had the Motown sound,
Right.
the Philly sound, James Brown, there was Sly Stone, but it was about sounds. So I didn't really know who the players were till later, but it's people like James Jamerson, Duck Dunn,
Yeah.
you know, Willie Weeks, Chuck Rainey, Gerald Jamont, you know, those kind of guys. So
Yeah.
those are the guys I came up with.
Yeah. And having attempted to learn a few of your bass lines myself, it seems like there's a certain element of jazz influence in there. Would that be right? In the way that you connect
I
the
suppose.
chords?
I mean, I certainly am not a jazz guy, you know. But when we had Chester Thompson in the band, you know, he is a definite jazz guy, and so he influenced a lot of things of that nature that have that flavor to it. So.
Yeah. But you don't play upright, you don't do standards gigs?
No.
Do you play any other instruments? Apart from guitar?
No.
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 Fair enough. What else? Do you still have any kind of practice schedule or regime, or is it just warming up?
No, I've never.
Never?
No, I've never been one to practice. You know, I get criticized for that quite a bit, but it's just my nature. It's very boring to me. It's not fun to me.
Sure.
I mean, there are other guys in the band. I mean, they practice like crazy. They have a routine and stuff.
Yeah.
For me, it just never has worked, which is not to say that that's what you should do or try to go for, because when we have a lot of off time, if we have some space in between gigs and stuff, that can be a little rough.
Yeah.
So I'm actually getting to a place where I don't practice, but I will get up and just pick the bass up just to, I guess keep lubricated, as it were.
Sure.
Try to keep the chops up so, you don't go through that whole cycle of blistering and all that stuff. So.
And what about life off the road?
What about it?
Things, what do you do when you're not playing? Do you have any passions?
When I'm home, music is over there.
Yeah.
I don't really bother with it that much. I mean, I live in a musical town. I live in Las Vegas, but I'm not interested in really getting out and doing that whole thing. I did a couple things recently, a little bit out of my comfort zone, and I gotta tell you, if I was to do it, if I had to do what I see a lot of players do, which is learn millions of tunes, all these different genres, and blah, 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 to me, that's not fun.
Sure.
It's more nerve-wracking than anything. And you don't really get a chance to really, sink your teeth into really anything because you're just kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
Being with one group for so long, I think is, what, was instrumental in, helping everybody develop themselves as individuals. So
yeah. So I think a lot of players, because the industry is a lot different now than it used to be. So I think
it is
a lot of players just to keep working.
Well, there's not as many, club days. I was just having this conversation. It's funny because, when disco came to America, which pretty much was started by the Bee Gees, right? Yeah. I mean, to me, that ruined the whole music industry.
Really?
Personally. Yeah, because it put a lot of people out of work.
Right.
And so the struggle, for guys that are freelance became even that much harder.
Mm.
You have club owners that used to hire bands, 4 to 5 days a week, and you had a rotation you could do.
Big bands as well.
And when disco came in, they figured out, it's a lot cheaper to spin a record than to hire all these guys. So, but it's the nature of the business. It evolves, it changes.
So, how would that reflect in the Tower of Power touring schedule? Are you guys doing more festival circuit now than club dates, or depends
no, not
where you are?
Necessarily. We are going to do quite a few festivals next year in Europe, but it fluctuates. Sometimes it's like this, sometimes it's like that. We hope to have a new record out next year, so hopefully that will make the quality of gigs be a little bit more consistently on a different level.
So you still to go into the studio and record that?
Say it again?
You've still to record that album?
I've already done my part.
You've done your part?
They're fixing everything else now.
So maybe asking about the recording process, is it together or is it overdubbed? How has that changed for you guys over the years?
Yeah, they layer it.
You
get the rhythm section, and then everything else is layered on top.
Okay. Is that generally how it's played out over the years? You guys?
Yeah, pretty much. We've done a couple of live recording in the studio, as well as a live album. But for the most part, it's layered like that.
Okay. Yeah. Would you have any advice for a young Rocco? If you could go back and give yourself some words of advice or...
Advice?
Yeah.
Well, the rule of thumb is, keep your nose clean, stay out of trouble, and do as little amount of drugs as possible, and don't drink too much. And be focused, be focused. And a big thing is learning how to treat your fellow musician. I seem to run into a lot of guys that, they say, oh man, I'm having problems with the bass player, I'm having problems with the guitar player, this and that. And I ask them, the first thing I ask them was, how do you talk to them? And then they tell me, and it's like, well, you can't expect good results if you are attacking somebody and, or talking down to them or anything like that. So the way you talk to each other is really, really important.
Yeah.
And I think that's, you don't necessarily learn that right away, especially when you're younger.
Sure.
But that to me is a big one.
Yeah. And do you write? Have you written a lot of the material or co-wrote?
Yeah, I'm more of a co kind of guy. Yeah, but yeah, I did a solo album back in '98.
Yeah.
And I was involved with all of that.
How long did that take you to...
I'm sorry?
How long did that take you to put together? Was that a collection of 10 years worth of ideas and stuff, or was it just...
No, a couple of years.
Put it together?
It the most.
Yeah.
Yeah. Getting the deal was the hardest part.
Really?
Actually the writing at that time, because of the people I was associated with, that was pretty, it flowed pretty easily.
Yeah.
I got pretty close to enough for another album, but again, the financing comes into play.
Sure.
And there's a couple things on the new Tower record that I was involved with, or I don't know, a few things, I guess. So, cool. Yeah, a little bit here and there.
Yeah. Is it, in the Tower of Power situation, is it more of an arranging orchestration feel thing, or harmonic, melodic things, just bassline stuff?
Well, I mean, it pretty much is what it is. I mean,
sure.
The tune kind of takes on its own life after,
once
you
the
get the basics
yeah.
of it down, I mean, it's like, if it was like a ballad, lends itself more to a big orchestration than, just a regular funk tune or something.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I think every tune has its own, own life. So, and it evolves and goes where it goes.
It goes where it goes, sure. Looking back over an enviable career, is there maybe some certain albums or eras that stick out as being highlights, or you just take it all as one awesome journey?
Oh, yeah.
Must be difficult.
When you talk about your personal life and how it intertwines with your professional life, I mean, there are certainly things that I wish I wouldn't have done that would have probably made my life a lot easier. Then there's that other side of it. It's like, well, if I didn't go through all that, then I wouldn't be who I am today. So,
sure.
It's kind of a toss-up. But, I think personally the late 60s and the 70s was the best time for music, period, across the board,
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of creativity and
Yeah, I mean, if you listen to commercials and movies and this and that, I mean, what do you hear? You hear a lot of stuff from the 70s, I mean,
Yeah. Maybe we could talk a little bit about the gear that you're using.
The who?
The instruments, the gear.
Uh-huh.
You're with ESP now, is that right?
ESP,
LTD.
The model I play is an LTD, yeah.
Yeah. Is that a signature model?
Yeah, for the most part.
What prompted the switch from the precision?
Excuse me. I didn't switch from the precision. I haven't played Fender in years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was playing Conklin.
That's right.
You know, and then before that I was playing Fernandez. Yeah, so actually I had a friend named Pancho Tomaselli. He used to play with War, bass player. Really nice guy. Crazy, but nice. Anyway, he said, he had just signed with them, and he said, man, you need to check out this company, man, ESP, man. They really would be interested in you. And I said, yeah. And at that time, I was working on a deal in Germany. So ultimately what happened was the German thing fell through, and I talked to my manager about it. And he said, yeah, well, let's check them out. So I checked them out, and it was just, it was just a wonderful connection right from the start. And they have been nothing but great to me, and they're a great company.
Yeah,
so.
cool. Nice one. We covered a lot of ground.
I guess.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of any burning questions.
I just signed a deal with Eden, so I'll be switching over to Eden soon.
Yeah. Nice.
It's all in development still, so.
Yeah. I'm sure it will sound great no matter what you play.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Rocco, thanks very much for your time. It's been
done?
great. Yeah, we're done.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, man.
All right.
Guys, thanks for watching. See you next time.